Sailorman is summoned by the Demon King. Sailorman is summoned by the Demon King to serve as his celestial king in another world. If you dig my recaps, don't forget to subscribe and smash that notification bell. The Demon said that a loser like Uchimura had gained recognition. However, despite all the celebration and recognition the human had achieved, when he returned after a few days to meet with his boss, he kneeled down and begged for a second chance before anything else was said, thinking he had messed up in some forgotten way. On the other hand, changing sorcery, and that's where Uchimura came in. The general needed to find a way for everyone to have this capability, as it would decrease social inequality. Uchimura was grateful for the opportunity, but he remembered that he was an outsider who also lacked magical skills. However, that was exactly why the Demon King had given him the magic stone a few days ago, a rough, unpolished gem that the human must figure out how to use with the help of a specialist in magical research, Sylphid, the Storm Archmage. Anyway, before anything else, his boss warned him in advance that Sylphid could be a real pain. After the meeting, Uchimura left the throne room, and Almandra appeared snooping around. Discovering that he had been given an exclusive mission by the boss, the demoness imagined that the human's work was going exceptionally well. Later, Uchimura studied how the incredible power of this item could be utilized to do, can no longer bear waiting for the young man to come out and starts pounding on Sylphid's door to get someone to open it. The next morning, Uchimura was a bit less human after staying up all night, while Sylphid was puffing up with pride for having brought such a complex idea to life in such a short time. Soon he names the new device Rosmarin, a magical stone capable of casting a single spell but now producible on a large scale due to cost reduction. Despite having stayed up all night working on this, the mage wants to test the new toy on Uchimura right away. Absolutely shattered, the man pleads for a moment to gather his thoughts, and the mage gives him exactly 1 hour. With that, the poor guy heads to the door to grab a bite and take a nap, until Olminder forces her way into the room with a spell and asks him why he spent the night there. However, the plan backfires. Weakened by the intense night of work, Uchimura is thrown to the ground like a discarded rag doll and nearly becomes a t-shirt print on the spot. The demon shakes the dazed man awake, while he begs for it to stop before he's completely dismantled. At that moment, Sylphid appears in his Archmage attire and with a commanding male voice, orders Olmandra to take the chaos outside. The demoness asks where that woman went, and the mage replies that he has no idea, as it's just him and Uchimura there. Amidst the confusion, Lilim and Olulu rush in to call Olmandra and Uchimura as a flock of Aceto birds are attacking some villages. Known for their immense fury, these birds are so large they cannot fly, and the Demon King has ordered them dealt with. Olmandra is tasked with saving 3 villages and is dragged outside, while Sylphid sees this as the perfect opportunity to test his space for the test. Some locals appear out of nowhere, so Uchimura asks them to back off a bit. Sylphid hands the human a stone and asks him to send out a fireball. Despite being terrified, the man follows the mage's commands and imagines the stone as part of him, with his blood flowing through the device. Having done this, Uchimura manages to conjure a fireball and is astonished. At this point, the flock of Aceto appears on the field. Uchimura launches several fireballs to hold off the birds, but the device stops working when an animal attacks him up close. Sylphid fends off the approaching birds using magic, giving the external manager space to try his spell again, but it's not working for some reason. After eliminating the first wave of the Aceto, the Storm Archmage concludes that the stone didn't withstand the battle's intensity and deems the experiment a failure. At night, the generals share a soup made from Aceto with the village residents, and Uchimura comments to Sylphid that these demi-humans seem quite fragile. At this, the mage removes her helmet and reveals her feminine face again, noting that although these people are weak and live in poverty, they always show happiness and kindness in their hearts. This reminds the mage of the day she decided to invent the original magical device. Originally born into a family of merchant elves, things went awry and she left home. After being found wandering by some demi-humans, Sylphid was welcomed into that village where no one could use magic to help these people, the witch began working on the devices, but in doing so, she lost sight of the main reason for her research. Remembering this, she assures Uchimura that the role of a scientist is to advance society, so it's a matter of honor for them to make it work. By the way, the woman is certain that the Aceto will attack again soon, so finding a solution to the stone's breakdown is urgent. With this in mind, Uchimura reappears at his imaginary or not bar. This time, Almandra was eating cooked entrails and drinking merrily after hours. Witnessing the demoness's happiness, Uchimura reflects that the entrails are indeed delicious, although they used to be difficult to store and prepare. In the past, people would vomit directly from such food, but today, thanks to the high level of collagen, People can enjoy this meal as things that were once seen as useless have become indispensable after undergoing certain changes. After this thought, Uchimura asks Sylphid to produce another 10 rosmarin for tomorrow as he will solve this problem. Thus, when they face the flock of Aceto again, the external manager positions the stones on the ground and activates them all at once as the birds approach. From what he understood in the previous conflict, the Aceto are greatly bothered by the shrill sound upon the stone's activation, enough to drive them away. After scaring off the animals, the man realizes that this strategy barely consumed the magic stones. A few days later, back at the castle, when presenting the discovery to the demon lord, Uchimura reports that they don't need to cast spells to deter these monsters, as this new device is cheap, economical, and capable of scaring away various types of animals. Thus, the villages will be free from potentially dangerous wild animals. Pleased with the outcome of the discovery, the king orders more magical devices to be distributed to the villages. After the meeting, Uchimura thanks Sylphid for all her help in researching and developing the discovery. On the other hand, it is the scientist who thinks she should thank him, as the human managed to restore a tremendous purpose to her work. Because of this, the mage rewards her comrade with a combat magic device loaded with fire, capable of up to 30 shots. Uchimura asks if Sylphid produced this during the development of rosmarin, and she responds that she isn't called a genius for nothing. With the end of this meeting, Uchimura returns to the office eager to get to work, until Olmendra bursts into the room violently, complaining that the guy didn't keep her updated at any point about what he was doing. Anyway, since he gave her the stone as a gift, surely he wasn't flirting with another woman in vain. The next day, back at Uchimura's imaginary bar, Olmendra decides to bother a kid who's holding a cell phone. She mentions she's envious because the kid lives with his parents and can spend all day on the internet, to which the boy replies that she's annoying. At that moment, Uchimura notices the young boy isn't watching Minecraft videos on YouTube, but instead investing in stocks, and judging by the watch on his wrists, this kid is no amateur. Undeterred, Olmendra tells the boy to take off his hood since they're inside the establishment. When ignored, the demoness repeats the demand, this time twice as loud, and attempts to physically remove the hood. Watching the scene, Uchimura reflects that he too needs to remove his hood, not from his sweatshirt, but from his attitude at work. So far, the human has tried his best to follow the Demon King's guidelines and maintain good work leading such a trusted position. But if he wants the demonic army to grow in the long run, Uchimura must figure out what needs resolving and tackle each issue one at a time. With that, the general decides it's time to act. Keeping this in mind, he heads to the kingdom's street market and thinks it was a great idea to invite Olmendra. Besides, he thinks the demoness looks rather charming in that dress. Olmendra feels terribly